The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a platform and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. These Best You EXPO talks are recorded in front of a live audience in a live event. We highly recommend that you focus on the message. As they say, what you focus on expands. Enjoy.
Talk about first, let me introduce myself. I'm Warren Carlyle. I'm known as the Octo King because I run Octo Nation. It's the world's largest octopus fan club with over 250,000 followers that follow octopus, the animal. And so I live in Austin, Texas. Let me show you. I have a German Shepherd. His name is Walt. Wait, let me go back and show you him. He learned that from me. And he's also wearing the Octo Nation sticker that we have. But I love him. I hate being away from him. Sy Montgomery, she wrote the New York Times bestselling book Soul of an Octopus. She's somebody that I reached out to when I was first creating Octo Nation to tap into her community of octopus lovers. Founded Octo Nation, the largest octopus fan club, and I started building online communities in 2012. Since then, I've collaborated with hundreds of influencers and business owners on Instagram. So let me go back here. But where did it start? So it started, my mom, unfortunately, she passed away in 2011. And prior to that, I was doing real estate, and I had a successful career in real estate, but I was really curious about the fashion industry. And so what I wanted to do is get known in the New York world and build a following in the fashion industry, but I had absolutely zero experience whatsoever. And so one day I went to Barnes & Noble and I sat down and I had all of these magazines in front of me, all fashion magazines, and I started connecting with the editors, the celebrity fashion photographers. I started connecting with influencers in the space on Instagram. And landed an internship at a celebrity photographer, and pretty quickly, when I interned for him, he was just like, you know what, you're really good at talking to other people, you're really good at managing relationships, how would you like to manage all of my strategic partnerships for every major brand that I work with? And I was like, I'd love that, that's great. And so when I started working for him, 2 weeks later, I started interviewing the CEO of Mont Blanc, Jerome Lambert. I was hanging out with people like Carly Kloss, asking her about her Instagram and fashion and giving her advice. I've been at hundreds of photo shoots talking to the top male models about their Instagrams. And so my life kind of took off. I went from not knowing anybody in the fashion world to all of a sudden I had a huge Rolodex at my disposal, and it was because of social media. I don't know where to go with this. Okay, fast forward. So I got out of the fashion industry, and I really wanted to do something for me. And so what I discovered was with community building, what I teach other people to do is if you want to build a community around something, you actually have to care about it. So there's a lot of business owners that come up to me and they tell me, I really love this, but I'm doing this, and I want to build a community around my business so that I can do this. And I say, that will never work. Because what I found is if you can't commit your time and excitement, then the community around you is going to feel it. They always do, and they're not going to follow you. So with me, what I chose was octopus. As a kid, I was obsessed with extraterrestrial life. And around the age of 7, I went to an aquarium, and I asked the aquarist, what can you tell me about this creature? And she was like, well, she was kind of apathetic. She didn't know. And so I went to the library and I was like, God, these are such amazing creatures. People should, love and protect them and whatever. And I never thought about it until I was trying to come up with a business idea. And I thought, you know what? If I have to choose something that I'm passionate in, I'm going to go back to the octopus. I'm going to build the largest octopus fan club. And so I told my family members and they said, that's dumb. That's never going to work. My mom, was a clinical psychologist. My father, was in a medical field. He always wanted me to be a doctor. I'm the fourth, 3 doctors before me. He wasn't feeling the octopus fan club. Like, he was not on board with it. And so I was like, okay, I'm still going to do this. What I need to find, and my first question was, who actually cares about octopus? Who's going to listen to this stuff? Who has the headspace and attention span to actually listen for octopus-related stuff? And so here were some powerful questions. And if you want to take a picture of this, because I'm a question guy, and I think it was because I was raised by my mom who asked questions for people for a living, but I had to ask myself, when I was coming up with a business idea with a community, I asked myself, who do I need to know? Who actually cares about octopus? Who cares about cephalopods? Who do I need to know? Who needs to know me in the industry? I created an Excel spreadsheet and I started listing these questions out. I said, what are their core values? Because what I learned in the fashion industry is you might really love somebody, but then you have a conversation with them and they're a garbage person. And I was into a situation where like, I love you and I love your career, but now that I've learned who you are as a person, I want absolutely nothing to do with you. Absolutely zero. And so I asked, what are their core values? That's a huge question for me. Do they align with mine? You know, I'm a very honest person. I'm very blunt. I move things very quickly and I get to the answers very quickly because I ask people questions fast. What are they looking for? People that are obsessed with octopus-related stuff, what are they looking for? What sort of content would they appreciate? What can I offer them right now? What do I have access to? What should I be learning so that people don't feel like I'm a fake in the octopus world? Who do these people need to know? Where's their attention on a daily basis? If I'm trying to find somebody who's interested in something octopus-related, I'm not going to walk up to some random person and be like, you should really love octopus. And I've met some people at this event, and they're really passionate about what they do, and they feel like I'm deserving of their attention to talk about what they love for an hour straight. They never say, hey, are you interested in learning more about this? And for me, it takes so much more energy to walk up to people and just talk about yourself. It's much better to say, are you interested? Like, you know, are you interested in this related stuff? So how do I show up in those places where people have the headspace to be interested in octopus-related stuff? And who are they working with now? And how are they working with them? So these are all these questions that I ask when I'm consulting with people. And when I've worked for these major brands like J. Crew, Todd Snyder, Uniqlo, I ask a lot of questions to the people that I'm working with. Ego Rodriguez, he was an artist that I worked with. I have a soft spot for artists and creatives. They typically don't charge enough for what they do. And so one of the first programs that I offered was Get Insta Following. And it was a program to teach people how to get clear with who they're marketing to and how to create content and where to distribute that content. And after working with him, he started gaining 2,000 followers per month. And he doubled his gross revenue on Instagram in 2 months with a conversation that we had together. So let's talk about how you do that for your business. So clarity is the first C. We're going to be talking about the 6 C's of community building. Clarity is number 1. And so when I'm one-to-one with somebody, I can have a conversation with them. I can ask them questions. I can get to know their business intimately. When you're online, you can't be clear. I mean, you can be clear with how your messaging is, but there's still a wall. There's still somebody behind their keyboard that isn't going to necessarily ask you questions. There's this wall there. And so the reason we have to be clear and we have to have clarity about who we are and what we serve, like with me when I created Octonation, I thought, okay, what is Octonation? It's the largest octopus fan club. Why am I going to call it that? Because there's plenty of people that might like octopus, but if I frame it with Octopus Fan Club, you have to be at a certain level to say, yeah, I'm a fan club and I want to be a part of that fan club. So it differentiates the attention span of people who are semi-interested and the people that are like gung-ho, I'm an Octopus Fan Club person. And so we have to get really clear on that. What you want to do and how you maintain clarity with your community is by facilitating conversation on a daily basis. I've dealt with numerous thought leaders that have had followings of million plus, and they have a really hard time facilitating conversation. They typically get on social media and they provide great content, and I call them mic drop posts, where at no point in time are they asking their community, where do you fit in, or what sort of things do you do in your daily life that make sense with this content? And I'll get into content later. But we would need to be really clear on how to facilitate conversation. So here's a couple bullets. So your prospects, they're extremely preference-driven, and they want to be catered to. So people in a 2018 marketplace, they're like unlike any other people online that I've interacted with. They're brutal and they're busy. When I'm at home and I'm on my couch and I'm online, you have like 2 seconds to catch my attention. And I can be brutal because I only have so much attention to worry about somebody else. And I feel like I want all the attention to only look at what I care about. I'm extremely preference driven. And so the person at home, when they're on their phone, they're super brutal. And so if you're not clear and they're not clear on how you can help them, they're gone. They're gone extremely fast. So they think, who are you and how does that benefit me? They're extremely brutal as it relates to that. And what I tell people as I help people with clarity is you really want to control the conversation that people have behind your back. So that's kind of what you have the ability to do on social media when you get clarity on who you serve and who makes sense for your business, is you get to control that conversation that's happening behind your back. And typically what happens with clarity is they're following you for a specific reason and they have an expectation of the sort of content that you're going to provide. And so once you set that clarity, there's a lot of people that ask me, well, should I have a personal page and a business page? And I say, you should have a page if it's your business and your business has expectations, then people are going to expect a certain type of content from you on a daily basis to solve their business problems. And if one day you decide, you know what, I want to pivot and switch businesses, and you decide you want to help something else, that community is not following you for all the right reasons, and they're not going to convert. Another important thing is who you aren't for is almost as important as who you are for. So there's a lot of people who can tell me who their products can serve, but almost equally as important is creating a separate list and saying who is my product not for. I walked around and I was talking to somebody who helps people with their relationships. And I said, who do you cater to? Here's your ideal demo. And she said, well, I help people who are recently widowed. I help media personalities who are trying to transition out of media and into real life and want a love life, but they couldn't previously because it affected their career. I help young teens that are getting into their first relationship. She completely lost me. I thought from a community building perspective, that's going to be such a hard community to build because you're for everyone that no one's going to know who you're for. And so what I tell people with clarity is if you've ever been in a coffee shop and you're kind of like on your phone, but you're eavesdropping in front of the conversation in front of you, with those people having a conversation, like say those people were having a conversation about octopus, that's probably never going to happen to you. But say they are, you're most likely going to tap them on the shoulder and say, have you heard about Octonation? If you're an octopus lover, Octonation is the largest octopus fan club. That's almost how clear your friends have to be with your business and who you serve, so that in a situation like that, they can easily refer you to somebody who's having a conversation. And so I tell people, call up 3 of your friends and say, tell me what I do, and tell me that if you ran into somebody who was talking about something, how would you know when to refer my business, product, or service? And odds are, what I found is the friends, or you're just like, oh, I need to get clarity and how I'm marketing myself because nobody's on the same page. I remember that happened to me. Actually, one of my first consultants told me, they gave me that lesson, and I went out, and they said, well, you're kind of in New York, and you work with celebrities, but I don't know what you're doing there. It seems like you're with a lot of cool people, but I don't know how that would help my business. And I thought, okay, I need to rebrand and get clear with who I actually work with. And so try that out. Call some of your friends or call somebody and say, what do I do? And how would you know when to refer me? And if they can't answer that, that means you need clarity fast to build a community. The more market segments you have for one profile, the higher it is likely to fail. So there's a lot of people who say, my product or service can help everybody. The reason Octonation and a lot of the clients that I work with are so successful is because they typically have 1 or 2 market segments. They start with that. If you even think about Facebook, how Facebook didn't start as a global phenomenon. Facebook started at a college level. It started at Harvard. Then they test piloted it. Then it went to the local universities. Then they test piloted even more. Then it expanded bigger. And a lot of businesses, they look at something like Facebook, or they look at celebrities and they say, well, this celebrity's doing it. Well, this person's doing it. I'm like, they didn't start out that way. They typically started out with a niche and they expanded upon it. So it's always good to know that. So I'm going to use Instagram as an example because that's what I'm known for, although I work with a lot of different communities as well, like Twitter, but I'm known for Instagram. So people ask me with their profile, the bio, in any sort of place you appear online, this is what people are looking at, like bluntly. Are you qualified to receive my attention? That's when somebody's looking at a profile, they're skimming that and they're saying, is this person even qualified to receive my attention? Is this person somebody who I want in my daily life? They're asking themselves, is this person for me? Do they click with me? What can I expect from you? They really want to know. Even up there, are you providing resources, tips for somebody who's transitioning from corporate life to entrepreneurial life? Is that what you're doing? People need to know and they need to self-identify, because if you don't, you're going to turn into this person over here who's asking, why doesn't being vague and mysterious work for me, Warren? It's because when you build a community that's vague and mysterious, when you go to sell a product and service, you've built a massive community, yes, and that's great. And I've worked with people who have 1 million followers and literally go to sell a book and can't sell 7 copies because they built a community of people around them for the wrong reasons.
If you're interested in speaking, exhibiting, or getting involved in the largest personal development expos in the world, contact us today at www.thebestyouexpo.com or send us an email to info@thebestyou.co.
So this is your profile, and I always tell people, your profile is very strong because it actually is going to act as a magnet towards the people who you want to attract, and you can call out for people. Like I'm saying, Octo Nation, the largest octopus fan club. I'm looking for people that are expressly interested in that topic. Here's an example, and this isn't a person that actually exists, but I've worked with some life coaches in personal development, and this is typically who they are. So we have Mary Coach over here. She's following 55, she has 55 followers, and she's following 853, so she looks desperate. She's loving life, and she's getting her clients what they want on their own terms. I don't know what that means. Everyone deserves freedom. I can show you how. DM me for pricing. So if you look at that bio, I don't know who she's for. I don't know how she wants to get people freedom, but who doesn't want freedom? I don't know what her differentiator is. I don't know who she serves. She's not convincing me here. So those 55 people up there are most likely her friends and family that would want to support her, but she's kind of like nobody knows. So I looked at her content strategy, and she had a "you can do it" quote with absolutely no context as to how they could actually practically do it. Read my blog off of Instagram, so driving people's attention off Instagram. She's not deserving of that kind of attention shift. A picture of her doing yoga, a half thought, and then read the rest on my blog. Driving attention away from Instagram or any social media platform is not necessarily something you want to do. Take more risk quote, buy my coaching. At this point, she doesn't deserve to be selling her coaching because she's not providing any practical information on how people can receive freedom. So she's not even in alignment with what she's telling people she does. And so do you see where there's a disconnect with her like how she's appearing in the world? And this is kind of where I help people get clear with their profile and who they're for. Because if you're not calling out who you're for in this preference-driven society, people aren't going to assume and guess, and they're most likely not going to even go down to your profile. So when people ask me, should I have a business account or a personal account, I tell them, is this going up or down? Okay, good. I was like, I have to get done really quickly. I tell them, if you have 2 different business segments, say you have your personal, you have your family, and they love you for who you are, and then you have your business account, and they have expectations. They really want you to solve their problems on a daily basis. You're going to have this dichotomy inside yourself. You're going to like, you know what? I don't want my friends to think I'm all about business, so I'm going to take a picture of me and my dog at the park and just let them know that I have a balanced life. And that's not necessarily something that your business people want to see. You're making the assumptions based on what you feel like you need to do and who you feel like you are. I can tell you, if you're trying to make 2 people happy, your business life and your personal life, your community will most likely fail. And I've seen it with influencers. I've seen it with business owners that I've worked with. I tell them, if you have one account and really know what it's for and provide value on a daily basis, and I'll show you how I've helped other people. So this is a big thing. This is something that you want to take a picture of because this is the biggest thing on social media right now. Social media demands engagement for maximum distribution, which means if you're not getting comments on your posts, if you're not facilitating conversation, Instagram, Facebook, any social media platform has absolutely no incentive of showing your content to any of your followers. Because if they show your content and it doesn't incite engagement or get any comments, then Facebook and Instagram, this is just the way it works. I don't create the rules at Facebook. I'd be making a whole shit ton more money. But they can show their ads and their advertisers and everything like that. They're interested in people that can drive engagement and attention to people's profiles. And so if you're not facilitating conversation, if you're not for a specific audience in a community and you're not driving engagement with that niche group, then Facebook will turn your lights off. They'll say, you know what, we're going to provide higher placement in the timeline for Susie, who provides life coach information to women who have just recently got out of divorce and are transitioning from divorced life to single life. And she provides tools, tips, and resources for that woman. And she has a community of people that want that information, because every single time she posts something, she facilitates conversation and she gets 10, 20, 30, 40 comments. And so let's put her content up in the placement, because we know that people are going to engage with her content. And so that's just how social media is. It demands engagement from a large part of your community for maximum distribution. That's what's happening right now. The second C is core values. And I added this one. I'll answer questions at the end. Thank you. Answer questions at the end. So core values is important. And I added this because in the fashion industry, I had the opportunity to work with tons of celebrities and really cool people. And then I remember having a conversation with them, and I won't say any names, but I had conversations as like, what got you into this? And they were saying all of the wrong things that completely repelled me from ever wanting to do any business with them or even know them in real life. And so I was just like, you know what? I only want to work with people who I actually click with, who are actually ethically doing things for the right reason. Unfortunately, I have like this moral dilemma with people who are just shitty people. And like, if they say anything that's like racist or this or that, I'm just like, you're gone from my life. And so core values is important, because as a business owner and as a person, you have core values of who you want to work with and what you want to do. And so the core values are the basis of how you operate your business, plan strategies, and interact, collaborate with others in the marketplace to build a cohesive community. So your community will, once you have your core values, you have to sort of reverse engineer. Okay, now that I know my core values is trustworthiness, let's say that's one of your core values, how do I reverse engineer my content on a daily basis so that my community says, you know what, I really trust Octonation because they partner with cephalopod researchers who are on the front lines every single day, and they provide the latest information on this animal. So that's how I could reverse engineer trustworthiness in my community. Nothing kills a brand or community faster than being all over the place. So if you decide you want to work with, I'll show you an example a little bit later, but I'll get back to that later. The next one is how your community feels about you should be predictable because of how your business operates under its core values. And that goes back to once you have those set core values in place, when you start receiving reviews for your business, you should say, of course I'm getting that review because I'm doing X, Y, Z with my content strategy. And so I kind of reverse engineer. Once we have core values, then we go to the content and say, how are we going to reverse engineer these core values to my community? And then your core values is your community's, your tribe's collective identity and reputation. So let me get into what that looks like. Octonation has close to 200 and something reviews on our business page. And most business owners don't have that. But here's something that somebody said. I just found the Facebook page, but I've been following on Instagram for quite some time now, and I swear whoever mods the account, whoever moderates the account is so personable. They read every comment, even old posts, hundreds of comments. We've spoken personally, even though I'm a super small percentage and completely insignificant. This person feels insignificant. They're just all around dope. Plus the posts are gold mine and will make you want a career in marine biology. So how did I reverse engineer that review? Well, he says that I comment on even old posts. I have a team of people that respond to every single comment with actually personable information. And he mentions that it'll want you to have a career in marine biology. It's because I share the most exciting, if you go on Instagram and you follow Octonation, you're going to be like, I had no idea octopuses were so cool. And that's kind of the attention span I want to reverse engineer. Another one, Octonation has the best sense of community. It's run with care and attention to detail. The community is constantly able to learn cephalopod facts, share information, jokes, art, and discuss their findings from all over the world. I won't read the rest, but you can reverse engineer, once you have your core values, you can reverse engineer your reviews based on the content that you provide. So that's how important core values are. So I had an opportunity. PETA I don't know if you've seen the videos where people are cutting up cephalopods or octopus and they're serving them in restaurants and things like that. So PETA reached out to me and they said, well, if you love octopus, then why won't you share our videos? And I said, you know what? Let's go back to your core values. And so OctoNation empowers a global community of cephalopod enthusiasts by sharing educational media in a fun and informative way to inspire its members to for a collective nation of positive change for a vibrant, thriving ocean. Those are our core values. PETA operates under the simple principle that animals are not ours to eat, wear, experiment on, or use for entertainment. I'm an entertainment profile for octopus-related stuff, and I provide cephalopod research and information on a daily basis. Our core values, unfortunately, don't fit. And while PETA has millions of people that follow their things, unfortunately, it's not a fit for our organization. And I made that decision not emotionally, but based on what OctoNation is. And so really map out your core values because it'll drive your business and your community to where it needs to go. And so you might have the opportunity to work with really cool celebrities, but then you find out that their core values are completely out of alignment with who your organization is. The third C is content. Content's super important, but you can see clarity and core values. These are in order for a reason. Clarity is number 1, core values is number 2. Content is actually number 3. How can you influence, and this is what people want to know, so this is important. How can you influence my life or show your value without me having to hire or buy from you on a daily basis? That's what people want to know, and that's the content that you have to provide as a business owner. Every piece of content is an application for ongoing attention of each and every one of your followers. Every single day you post a piece of content, it's actually an application for ongoing attention for your followers. And what that means is, you might think, I have to post today, I didn't get to post. You make an emotional post, and it doesn't really make sense. You've just provided an application to your followers that might be their cutting point for them not to tune out to your content and into another influencer who's more in line with who they are because you decided you were going to post emotionally and have a crap post, basically. And so that's important. Social media isn't just a box on your marketing checklist. A lot of business owners think that, and that's the worst thing that you could think for your business. Oh, I didn't post today, so I'm just going to do this. That's the last thing you want to do. Who determines your relevancy or reach on social media? Who determines your relevancy or reach on social media? I don't really know. I'll maybe get back into that later. Content in 2018 shouldn't drive attention elsewhere. It should respect the platform and be customized accordingly. So there's a lot of people that tell you, and a lot of internet marketers that say, you should drive people's attention to your YouTube channel. You should drive people's attention to your blog to get their opt-in so you can get their email address. If somebody, and the example that I give people is if somebody shows up into a theater to watch a movie and they watch the credits and they're all excited about seeing the movie, if the ushers finally came in and said, you know what, guys, we love that you stayed and you watched the new movies coming out, but we're actually showing the movie in a completely different theater. So why don't everybody get up? I know you guys are all settled, but get up and go to this theater and listen to the rest of my presentation over here. When you tell somebody to go to a different platform, you might think that's being over dramatic. It takes a lot to shift someone's attention and even fingers mentally. They came on Instagram for a specific purpose. And if you tell them to go to your blog, it's almost like pulling teeth to get them to move platforms. I don't care how great your content is. You need to serve them where they're at. And a lot of business owners make the mistake of saying, well, here's 1 or 2 tips. If you liked that, then go to my blog for the rest of them. That's the worst thing that you could do in 2018. So I'm going to show you an example. Does anyone here know who Jordan Syatt is? He is Gary Vaynerchuk's. Did anybody know who Gary Vaynerchuk is? Okay. So Gary Vaynerchuk runs one of the largest digital media agencies in the world. His personal trainer is Jordan Syatt. And he went from 14,000 followers to close to 350,000 followers on Instagram. And so because I build communities and teach other people how to do it, I decided to talk to him and build out kind of what he did to get that much. At first I thought it's because you're working with a celebrity. Of course you're going to go up. And then I actually went to his social media and noticed he never talked about Jordan. I mean, he never talked about Gary all that often. And so I looked at his strategy. So before, he had a really unclear focus. He was like any other personal trainer, posting pictures of food, before and afters, text messages he had with clients. I mean, nothing was really, really cool. He had a really inconsistent posting schedule. I'd go in and notice that he posted like every 3 days, and that'll kill you on Instagram. He said, check out my blog and YouTube. So he was doing that whole thing while he drove other people's attention. He had literally no strategy that I could see from a strategist point of view. And there was lack of conversation. He never asked anybody else what they were doing in their life. He never asked anybody, how can I help you? He wasn't really polling anybody ever. And so this was what was his content before. He said, eggs, simultaneously the highest quality, best tasting protein for the least amount of money. Fair warning, I have it on good authority that the only people that don't eat eggs are actually dementors, beware. So what is that going to do for anybody? Like, it's what I told him, I said it's well-intentioned, but it's extremely vague. I don't know how many eggs I should be eating. Should I be eating the yolk? As a person who's extremely practical and needs direction, this provided zero value for me. And if he's somebody who wants to provide value at scale, then he needs to get real, right?
Having promoted more than 600 speakers and more than 65,000 people attend my seminars and courses and workshops and expos, having read so many books and attended so many courses, I really realized that the basics of personal, professional growth is based on the power of the question. Asking yourself empowering questions. Read my new book, The Question, Find Your True Purpose. It's based on my work, 30 years of entrepreneurship, all the experiences that I have, my manifesto, and what's really important. So for more information, go to www.thequestion.co.
So all of it was not shareable or refer worthy. How many people would share this post with their friends? Nobody, right? So it wasn't share or refer worthy. Here was his content strategy afterwards. He provided infographics on his Instagram that each individual post was an all-inclusive post that taught somebody how to do something in the fitness space the whole entire way through. So it was focused. He provided 2 to 3 pieces of content a day. It was clearly strategic. And he told people what they could do, be, or have as a result of engaging with his content on Instagram. And what I learned, who saw Jim Quick today? Did anyone go to that talk? So what I learned, it was do, be, have, and he said share. So is the content that you're providing on a daily basis shareable? And if it's not, and nobody's sharing the content, you really need to look at where you're distributing that content. Because if it's a gold mine of information, the natural inclination for your community needs to be, everybody needs to know this, and that your shares need to go up. Octonation on any given post has 500 to 1,000 shares because my community has an expressed interest in sharing Octopus-related content. But I built that community up, right? So here was his content strategy afterwards. Eggs, right? He provided long-form content on what eggs were for. He provided the educational information. He provided a little fact. He provided long-form content. And where most people thought, oh, nobody has the attention span to read long-form content on Instagram, if you build a community around an express interest, you can write 12 pages of content on Instagram. They're going to love it because they're all there to learn that information. So don't let anyone tell you that, oh, you need to write shorter paragraphs. Write long-form content. He has 350,000 followers from writing long-form content and providing information on a daily basis. So you can see from here, text optimized for the platform, so he has it spaced out. He has all-inclusive content, meaning he doesn't tell people, oh, if you like these first 2 tips, go to my blog to get a 1-page guide on eating eggs. He includes his username for branding, just in case somebody goes to share that, they can. And his content shareable. That's a much more share-worthy content for people that are in the fitness space to share with their followers because he's done all the research. I'm really having trouble with this. Hashtags. So he did some research on hashtags, eggs Benedict, egg porn, egg slut. I guess that's a legit hashtag. So he did the research on hashtags. Collaboration is the next C. Collaboration is a huge part of community building. Nothing will build your community faster than collaborating with other people. I didn't grow Octonation, and for those of you who are just now joining in, I run the largest octopus fan club in the world. I have 250,000 people that follow my octopus blog, and they are looking for octopus-related information. And so collaboration was a huge way that I went about doing that. As soon as I founded Octonation, I said, okay, who's currently wrote a book related to octopus? I went out, and there was a book called Octopus. I mean, it can be something as simple as that. I said, okay, so Jennifer needs to know who Octonation is, Roland needs to know what Octonation is, and so does James Wood. And I need to figure out what content strategy I need to put together to show value to them so I can create content so they can share with their audience so everybody can know who Octonation is, because odds are their audience cares about octopus-related stuff. I'm not going to go to a trade show like this and talk to you for octopus for 3 hours straight because you don't care. I would rather go to a community that's already been pre-built, who is self-identified as being interested in octopus-related stuff, and build a community because people have the headspace to entertain those conversations. What most people do is they go to vague business mixers and they evangelize the person in front of them who doesn't care because they haven't shown up in an environment for that type of information. So go to places where people have self-identified as caring in that space. And so that's a real quick tip to success, is collaboration. So I asked, who's currently catering to my ideal audience? I said, what businesses, what brands, what underwater photographers, what magazines, what associations are in existence that cater to people who have a fascination with what I'm interested in. And I found out there was many. There was a magazine dedicated to this. All I needed to do was introduce myself to people that headed that organization and said, here's my business. How do I provide value, and how can we collaborate so that we can share content to each other's communities? And they said, wow, we really love what you're doing. We love how clear, obviously, it is. We'd love to work with you. And it was that fast. Refer back to your core values when you're choosing these magazines, right? Or these associations. If at any point in time your gut tells you this person isn't for me, listen to it. Bye-bye vanity metrics. So I have 7 minutes. I'm going to be talking really fast. Bye-bye vanity metrics means if you work with an influencer who has 500,000 followers, that means nothing now. I would rather work with a community or influencer that has 500 followers and is completely clear with who they work with than is a celebrity who has millions of people. Why would I want to partner with Justin Bieber when I could partner with somebody who's very clear and concise and that already has a community of people that love octopus-related stuff? So collaborations, Jordan Syatt, he shares information from other fitness people who create content that's similar to his, long-form content that provide actual information. He shares content and they share his content. So every single week, Jordan's partnering with another person and they're swapping content and doing kind of like these marketing collaborations. This doesn't cost money, but the content has to be there, it has to be on point, and it has to serve somebody. I doubt Jordan had to pay anybody to do this. So you can see that he's doing that right there. Those are different Instagram usernames. I've collaborated with Jordan Syatt. I really love him. I love his vibe and his energy. That's a shirt that Octonation created, and he used it in his YouTube video and shouted out Octonation, and he talks about Octonation a lot. So this is how cool, once you get to people who you're talking about and who you like, you can partner with anybody. I really love that he actually provides valuable information, and I vibe with him. So I said, hey, would you like to partner with Octonation? He said, yes. So and you'll find things are so much easier when you're meshing with people that actually care about what you have to talk about. Come on. DeCrafty Little Ninja, she created polymer clay creations in Hawaii. She had a following of 153,000 people. She created polymer clay creations that were octopus related. I thought, okay, if you're creating these polymer clay creations that are octopus related, odds are you have a community of people that are buying from you that love octopus. Let's do a giveaway or collaboration so we can tap into each other's communities. It's a win-win. And so that was easy collaboration for us. And because of that, we gained thousands of followers each. So those are collaborations. Grant Cardone, does anyone who know who Grant Cardone is here? Grant Cardone has a fascination of octopus. As soon as I found out, I was like, how do I get in touch with his team so I can talk to him about Octonation? He immediately, I talked to Elena. Elena was like, Grant loves, anything that you want to do. Send us anything you want. We'll totally talk about it. We'll wear about it. Elena is constantly wearing and shouting out Octonation on every single thing that she posts. Grant does live videos wearing Octonation t-shirts. It's because I'm working with somebody who's in alignment with what I love to do. So when I reach out to them, it's not like, let me think about it. It's like, yes, send me the stuff. You have to research and find these people that are actually interested in what you have to talk about. So collaborations with him. Black Jaguar, White Tiger. I reached out to Eddie Serio. He runs one of the largest big cat feline conservation. I started noticing that he shared not only big cat related posts, he shared other stories that were humanitarian related. And I reached out to him and I said, here's what I'm trying to do with Octonation. What does the application process look like to be featured on your Instagram account? He didn't email me back, he just featured my video. So he shared a video from me, 6.4 million followers. My followers drastically went up. And so that's the power of reaching out to people for collaborations. I mean, it was just that. Ellen DeGeneres, does anyone who know who Ellen DeGeneres is? So Ellen DeGeneres, I started looking at her profile and noticing she shares feel-good stories about other animal-related stuff. And so I started reaching out to her. I reached out to her team. I reached out to other accounts that had been featured and said, how did you get featured on Ellen? And they started telling me some tips and tricks. I did it all. I was featured on Ellen DeGeneres' Instagram account. So that's how powerful, this kind of stuff is. Does anybody know who the Cousteau family is? Jacques Cousteau. Reached out to their organization. They loved what I was trying to do for Octopus and the Thriving Ocean. They wanted to immediately collaborate. So collaboration is really powerful once you have the clarity, once you know your core values, once you start creating that content that addresses all of those things, and then it's easy to start collaborating with the people that you want to work with. Connection is the next C. Attention isn't enough, right? Once you have the attention of your community and you have a following of people, it's not enough. And I have 2 minutes and 32 seconds, so I'm going to really be screaming. You need to have incentivized attention. And what does that mean? It means you need to actually be going above and beyond and providing so much value to your followers, giveaways, doing giveaways with other people that can provide value to your community, marketing, doing collaborations that can provide your community with even more value, like discount tickets to an aquarium or something like that. What's in it for them to keep your profile top of mind in such a busy world where they're being pulled different directions? What are you doing that's differently? And so you really have to come up with those things that are going to really make you have a connection. How often are you making your community members feel seen? How often are you spotlighting your community members? I spotlight my community members every single day. If they take a picture in my shirt, I put it in our Instagram stories. If an underwater photographer takes a photo of an octopus, I constantly feature it on our blog. I'm always looking to spotlight people in my community so they know that they're a part of something. What conversations are you facilitating on every post to strengthen and grow community and drive your core values? So these are serious questions. And I always ask my client questions. What are we doing to do that? And then we reverse engineer the strategy. Gary Vaynerchuk, he will provide every now and then. He said, if you turn on your notifications and you write a comment in the comment section in the first 5 minutes or 3 minutes, I'll give you a free book. People are incentivized to turn on their post notifications because Gary is constantly giving away things because he wants incentivized attention. It's not just enough for people to follow him. He also wants to give value to them. So I'm just going to go through this because I only have a limited amount of time. So I'm constantly asking people questions. Tag a friend and caption this video. What octopus questions do you have? So I know what octopus questions they have. What type of content do you want to see from Octonation so I can ask them? So I'm constantly facilitating conversations. A common problem that thought leaders do and brands do is they do statements like this. The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades. We tend to obsess so much about things that could go wrong, but imagine if we obsess about things going right. There's no value in that. I'm sorry, there's just really none. That's a mic drop statement. It's lecturing. You intimidate your followers. It's just not good. There's no two-way dialogue. They start thinking they're more out of touch with you because you're not in touch with reality, because you're not providing information of how they can get out of their own way. And there's quotes with no context. That's what people do too. And so this is how people feel. If you're marketing that way, this is how people feel you're marketing. There's no listening on a megaphone. So you constantly want to make sure that you're providing feedback to people. So that's what you're doing to people when you do that. The last C, just to get to it, and then I went over, so you can find me, and I'll wrap this up, is consistency. This is the least important thing you could be on Instagram or on any social media platform, and I know most people tell you, just be consistent. And I tell people, before you're consistent, make sure that you have clarity. Make sure that you have core values. Make sure that you have content that matches all of those things. Because the worst thing that you could do, I could get up here and I could sing like the national anthem, but you guys would probably leave. You can be a consistently bad content creator. You can be consistently bad at what you do and not clear enough that you're spinning your wheels at 6 months, 12 months, 3 years. So this is the least important thing that you could do, is be consistent with your content. You really need to be and have clarity with what you're doing on a daily basis. And I was going to use Brian Kessinger as an example. He's a Disney animator. And he gets on Instagram Live an hour every single day and provides information for free and draws something. And every single time he does a Kickstarter, he gets close to $200,000 for doing any sort of side project he wants to do. He doesn't need to be creating content like that, but he does. And so it just goes to show you, if you're showing up for your audience, that they'll show up for you. So unfortunately, I can't answer any questions here, but you can find me afterwards and ask me some questions. Because I want to respect the AV's time and just follow me afterwards. So I hope that helped you. I hope you have a lot more questions. For those of you who email me, say, I saw you at the expo. Just like Roberto, I give free 15-minute phone calls for you to get you really clear. If I'm unclear with what you do, I'll be very blunt with you and tell you, I'm still unclear. I don't know who you serve. So I can do a lot in 15 minutes. So just email me and tell me that you met me here. But I hope that helped. You all have a good day at the expo. Thank you for showing up. Thank you.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.